had with the board some months back about Goodwill's, their operations, some questions that you've had, their revenue streams, their expenses, and some of the improvements that they've been making. So without further ado, I will yield the floor to Mr. Mandel.
Thank you, and commissioners, thank you for having me back here. There were some questions that the city manager sent me as a follow-up. I guess let me just first start and see with that clarification. Are there specific questions you have that you'd like me to go into?
I think that as far as I'm concerned anyway, that at one point there was financial concerns and staying afloat,
Yes.
and money and
Yes.
gas bills that didn't get paid, but then all of a sudden the money was there and the grants were received and we're all solid. And
Well, I will summarize what has happened. When we met, we were back in August of 2017, we were advised by FDOT that we received a grant in Lee County for $175,000. And in Hendry County, we were advised that we received a grant for $355,000 for transportation. We did not actually get the signed paperwork from FDOT till February 6th of 2018, and those dollars should have been available in 2017. So that was one reason why we had issues in 2017. And just as an example, in 2016, the monies from FDOT were in our bank by August.
Why is there a difference in 75 and 355?
Those are the two numbers, yeah. The 5310 grant, which is only for urban areas, and therefore Lee County was $175,000. Now that's the 50% value. Actually, you have to double the numbers I'm giving you to know the complete grant. In Lee County, Board of County Commissioners gives us an award of $146,000 as a match towards $175,000. Here we don't have a match from you, so we only get to use $355,000 of the $710,000. We are using 5311 to transport clients in both Glades and Hendry County, in addition to those who are transporting on the TD state budget. If you remember, well, actually, we had a little bit left over from a prior 5311, so we've been using it. Now we have the 355 to add to what we had on the grant.
The 5311 grant, it what was left over. You just now started that transport as of January.
Basically, we started announcing this, I think, back then. We were at the last 5311 grant prior to this one for $710,000 was really only sufficient to transport the Cluebell operation. The 5311 grant at that time was a match to the state corridor grant that paid for Cluebell. So the Cluebell route is paid for two grants. One is called a state corridor grant, and then a 5311 grant gives us the other 50% needed to pay for Cluebell.
Started the year before, because that's what description come in at. Did you have any data concerning what you do on a weekly basis? Anything to show us the outline? You gave us a roundabout figure, but I don't want a roundabout for the year. I need something more, like what goes on monthly, what goes on weekly.
Okay, here's this is TD, and this is February invoice we just sent to the state for transportation disadvantaged, and there were 1,324 people transported on the TD grant. That's this year, February of this year.
We started this in last year, so I'm trying to see what happened in the past because your bills were so far behind.
Well, you're talking about why we didn't pay our bills?
Well, I'm trying to see where was the money used and why wasn't
the reason we couldn't pay our bills were twofold. And that problem started during the summer and just absolutely got exacerbated during Hurricane Irma. Let me go back into that. We should have had for Hendry and Glades County, $710,000 in August of 2017, of which 50% is the $355,000. So we really should have had $355,000 in August of 2017 available to us to help pay bills for 2017. Now, the federal government and FDOT, it's not just Goodwheels, we're slow getting funds to every CTC that I'm aware of. And we didn't get the signed document from FDOT until February 6th of 2018. Therefore, we had $355, in a sense, $1,000 less to use in 2017. On top of that, we were never reimbursed by FEMA for the work we did during Hurricane Irma.
Neither were we.
Okay, and I have some good news on that, though.
All right, we need some good news.
Well, for us, I don't know about for you.
I see.
But what has happened is FEMA has, I guess, worked with the Small Business Administration that and I have a letter from them, they have awarded us $236,000 for the losses we incurred due to Irma. And we have not received that yet. So if you were sitting in my chair, you could say, well, I've got 236 due to Goodwheels. I've got 355,000 due to Goodwheels. I've got 175,000 due to Goodwheels and $146,000 due to Goodwheels. If you ask me for one penny of that right now, I still don't have it. It's going to start to come in now. And the 5311 is probably going to take us several months out here to achieve receiving it all. What?
Riders, the amount of riders.
That happens. I mean, it depends on who has to go when and where. We try to multi-load at any time we can.
When I met with you, you told me that you do either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. So if you schedule it like that, then it would be more than one rider, because I know when we was in Palm Beach the other week, I think I told you it was 5 Goodwill vans parked at Palm West with one person. And that's what my concern is. If are we taking the money, using it wisely, or are we just using it because we can use it, or because it's just there? So that's where my dilemma come in.
I'd have to look and see what day it was and why, and from where they came from and what times they all had to be there. Now, this morning I was talking to Commissioner Swindle about a client who we had multiple people on the vehicle with her. She was going to Wellington, and the other riders were going to Del Rey. That was all on one bus.
What about the data that we asked for to show us the people that go out, how many you have going out on each route? If you sent it, I never got it.
Well, I think I addressed the questions that were sent to me, and
that was one of the big questions that Commissioner Turner
The way I understood, they was going to try to work out a schedule where the people would try to schedule together rather than separate, where you could get more on the bus.
well, that's what we're trying to do now. And, there are times, depending on where the pickups are, you may not be able, and the times, you may or may not be able to. I mean, we definitely would rather have more than one person on a bus going to any location.
You don't have a van, do you?
We do. We have some small vans which carry as many as 6, and then we have paratransit buses which can carry as many as 12. And the goal is certainly to put as many people on as possible. But the time they have to be somewhere sometimes dictates. I was at Golisano Children's Hospital yesterday, and there were 2 vans of ours parked out there, but one left a little before the other one with people. That's just going to happen.
And I do understand that, but I sure would love to see a spreadsheet on how many people go out because you have to log in order to get your money. You got to have a log.
We do. And the only reason I was able to answer some questions this morning is I could go back to any day of the week and find, if I know the name of the client, we can find exactly when they went or anything.
I shouldn't have to give a name to see a log or how many bodies
Well, we
went
can
out.
do that. We can give you the
That was
log
one of
for
the
any given day.
questions. We're trying to be accountable for the money that's coming in, and that was one of the questions. So if you can't really answer the question now, that was part of the other meeting to bring it this way now.
Yes, I apologize, but I don't think that was one of the questions that I had here.
That was definitely one.
But-
We were looking for data.
Okay.
We wanted data-driven evidence, and it's the same questions we were asking the last meeting about different size vehicles, transportation, the scheduling. These are all things we've talked about already.
Okay.
What we were expecting today was some data to come in and say, okay, this is what's back in this is what's back in that. And basically what they're saying is we don't see any data again.
Well, I can, we're taking 1,324 people in a month on TD.
Henry alone.
Hmm?
Henry alone?
No, this is Henry and Glades.
Henry and Glades.
What's the Hendry County number?
You could probably take 75 to 80% of that number, and it's Henry County on average.
We're
roughly
really needing some
1,000.
data to see this so we can see exactly what we have. That's what we're asking for is to see the numbers.
But, well, I will, you know what I'll do? I will send you for every day the trips from here, and you can see them all. I mean,
Make sure that when you do the trips, you do per bus, per van or whatever.
I know one of the questions you asked, and what I think you're saying right now, is, how is your money being used by Goodwheels? And I put a number in here, and let me just find it. This was what was sent. Here are our total expenses for, well, that's Cluebell if you wanted that. Total expenses for the fixed route and paratransit is $808,019 a year. Breaks down to $67,335 a month. Here's for the other transportation. There are 16 vehicles that are serving Hendry and Glades County. All are garaged in either LaBelle or Clewiston. In addition to those, we just got awarded 3 new buses, 2 on a grant, federal grant 5339, and 1 on the state Shirley Conroy grant. Those are 100% paid for by either the federal government or the state. Yes, because they will be replacing buses that have a lot of miles. This one client that we were discussing this morning, just as an example, over the last 3 months, only went out of county. None of her trips were within Hendry County. She either went to Fort Myers, Okeechobee, or Wellington. Therefore, as opposed to, let's say, Lee County and Fort Myers, where you're going 10 or 15 miles to pick someone up and drop them off, we're going any one of these places, which is long distance, which is why we have a more frequent replacement of buses in Hendry Lake.
What percent of that total you gave while ago?
Our administrative costs are between 4 and 5% of our total budget. And that's reported by our CPA, not by us. Now, your money, I do want to find this one number in here because I think it's... I've got the report here. It'll just take me a second. I mean, one of the other questions you asked us is if Medicaid is involved, what percent of the expenses are covered by Medicaid out of our total? 14.6. Yeah, 14.6. And Medicaid's getting worse and worse each year. They just keep cutting what they pay us.
Mr. Mandel, on the major category that you shared with us is transportation disadvantaged. Do you have any other categories?
Yeah, well,
Y'all carry folks aside from
we do.
transportation disadvantaged now.
We do. Medicaid is the second other
So Medicaid,
area. Yes. Transportation disadvantage gives us about $39,000 every month to transport people.
and there's 1,324 trips roughly a month.
Roughly, that's we're using up every single penny that the state gives us.
What about Medicaid?
Medicaid is, it could be another 500 trips out here roughly
Okay.
in a month. Sure. And you asked this, one of the questions that you asked is, how many employees do we have here in Hendry County? 19 drivers from Hendry County service both counties. And this is roughly 20% of our workforce. And 6 of the 19 drivers have a CDL license, which means they can do the Clue Bell route. The paratransit drivers full-time are earning, the range is starting $10.25 an hour. The highest is 19. The CDL drivers starting was, $10.50, but I think they're basically at 12, and the highest is around 14. We have part-time drivers earning $11.25. And in addition to that, they have health insurance. We're paying $340 per month for their health insurance. They only have to pay $27 a pay period for it. And we also enroll them automatically in a retirement plan. They have to opt out. So rather than the other way around where people who aren't really aware of how important it is don't join. We put them in the plan to start with. 40. Yes. I'm still looking for this other one. Anyway, one of the things that we do, because if you looked at our numbers, you would see that obviously the expenses exceeded revenues in Hendry County. But in Lee County, where we have our garage, and by the way, I've got all the information here. You asked the question. Now I'm going back through the report I sent you. Ridership, Medicaid. This is in ridership in Hendry County, July to June, so it's a year. There were, for Medicaid, 10,588 trips.
That's Henry Glades.
Henry Glades. Agency, persons with disabilities, APD, 3,977. Transportation disadvantaged, last year was 9,430. There was a drop last year out here for some reason, and it turned around after the county and others provided some publicity about what we were doing, because obviously we did 1,324 in 1 month. You multiply that by 12, there's going to be a pretty big increase. Department of Elder Affairs had 9,323 trips. Then FDOT, there's some catch-all here for 145 trips. I'm not exactly sure. That's Medicaid.
If they have Medicaid and Medicare, you don't provide for them, right?
If Medicaid asks us to take somebody, we take them.
I know when I called in for a gentleman because they had both.
Well, usually, we can take someone with Medicare if the HMO has transportation in the plan and they'll pay us. Right now, for HMOs, the new procedure is that the HMO will tell a Medicaid broker, which is another for-profit operation, who they want transported the next day. And then like today, Medicaid brokers are sending us the names and addresses of Medicaid clients. We schedule them tonight and pick them up tomorrow morning. And then the Medicaid broker pays us.
Now,
Here's what I was looking for. I was looking for, you all give us right now $45,000. So for every $1 you give us, you're actually getting in services $16.87 when you add in our reimbursements. You're matching some of what we get. Looking for.
Okay. I believe earlier in the year I've seen where, I don't know if it was a special grant you had or a program where it didn't have to be anything to do with disability or if a student needed to go to school at ITech. Y'all would.
This is what's new with the increased funding. You know, we were getting about $100,000 on the 5311 grant, which was enough to match the state corridor grant for Clueville. That was increased to $710,000 last year. That's where we have extra dollars that we're calling public, which means anybody can go for any reason.
Have any numbers for that one?
We're just really starting.
Okay.
I mean, frankly, we provided. I can remember what our reimbursement was. It was about $27,000 worth of reimbursement last month. So
you're looking for routes for that. So if we had students that wanted to go to
Absolutely.
ITech or FMTC or
Yeah.
whatever, y'all would do that.
yes, I think we had two.
Wasn't accountable with the funds that's coming in now. So what is the 754? Is that per rider? The $7.54 that I saw?
$7.54.
The cost per rider is $7.57. Is that a match?
Where are
with the
you?
50
Can I ask what you're reading? Because
It's from the full cost for the state grant, and it's matched with the federal grant with 5311. $7.57. I'm asking, what is that?
I don't recognize that number. Actually, we're getting about TD reimbursement is somewhere around 40 in the $44 range. And the reason for that is it's not that normally a trip costs a lot less, but in Hendry County and Glades County, it's because sometimes we're going to Miami or Tampa, and when you start to average in the course of a year, all that mileage and expense, that's what the average reimbursement becomes.
Who you talking about? Where were they going?
That money being matched with
I don't know what that is. I'd have to see that. That doesn't make sense to me.
And if we could, I just want to recap again your financial synopsis. I see and understand that expenses outweigh income. And I know that we've had issues like with fuel.
Yeah.
I think that the budget that I'm looking at is as of January, we still had 37,000 outstanding. And that's not including February's stuff that's been posted yet.
Well,
Current rate as of yesterday, I believe the outstanding bill is somewhere around $24,000. That's what we got from Cynthia. Got another bill?
we haven't gotten it yet. We just got the bill, and I brought you a check with me. We just got this about 30 days ago.
Last time he was here too.
Well, we could,
Keep
but
bringing checks.
I think there was a delay in getting invoices to us.
I think there may have been a delay. We're working out some of the kinks in the communication.
But you have a check right now for $21,000. I won't leave with it. Okay, and that's why I brought it up. We just, but right now, I know. Yeah, the financial issues were tied to Hurricane Irma, and basically having expenses and we had insurance expenses on the vehicles, obviously, and health insurance benefits for employees and things like that went on despite the fact that there was a hurricane. And we didn't get paid for either the FEMA work or all of the TD work stopped and all of the Medicaid work stopped. So you had what you might want to call business interruption. And when you added up what that cost us, It turned out to be $230,000, which was audited by a bunch of forensic accountants. So it wasn't our staff coming up with a number out of the blue. That was researched very heavily, and they have now awarded us that loan.
Okay.
I would say that over the next couple of months, we will have eventually some of this cash is going to start to show up.
Okay. But you're solid today. You're
Yeah,
able to pay the invoices we send you. We're not behind on any as far as you know.
No,
As soon as we
no,
get
not
into
that
your
I'm
payment.
aware of. No, we should be able to stay current, and it'll certainly get easier and easier as this money starts to come in.
Okay.
They go in at the end of the month. And does it take a month for you to get the bill?
I don't know.
Sometimes those things run a month.
A lot of things come to attention because we bring it to the attention, and the attention needs to be drawn to the goodwill. First of all, my concerns was the money that was going out, the amount of people that was riding, and this started before the hurricane. So I would just like to see us do something different with the data. I think that we need to have something in on a monthly basis. If it's not good, then we might need to break it down to a weekly basis because you have to do an invoice.
We have to send the state, and attached to this invoice is the name and address of absolutely everybody we transport.
I sure would like to be a part of the state
We
invoice.
can send that to you.
I'm just
We'll send
not
you-
comfortable
Okay.
with verbally what you say. I want to see it on paper.
Okay.
And that'll help me feel a little bit better, make me feel comfortable. Because right now I'm not comfortable with it, you know.
I
Because
will
the things
send it
that
to
we
you.
asked for,
Oh, yeah.
we did not get. So we getting back verbal. Sometimes you just need to see it on paper.
We'll send you the backup to the TD invoice, and I will send you the backup to the 5311 invoice, which will show you. Now, we're going to have to block out names
That's fine.
because this is a HIPAA, otherwise we're in HIPAA violation. Yeah. Would the numbers, like I said here, TD 1324, this invoice be enough? This is just the monthly total.
For TD alone, or is everything on?
This is just TD. Then there's 5311, then there's Medicaid.
I like that. I mean, if you can give us that for all of them. is that
We can give you this for all of them. And then then I know we're not violating anything. Okay. There's no.
I'm okay with that if the board is. I mean, that's the numbers you're asking for.
I mean, look, if I didn't answer the question, I guess I didn't realize that you wanted that kind of detail. There is no reason for us not to be transparent. What we're trying to do is transport everybody that we can possibly transport in the county.
The only thing I don't want to see, a few months ago was when some students had prepared to ride the Goodwill. We talked about this.
Talked about it.
And they was ready. They signed up for school. When it was time to go, there was no Goodwill van. That's what made me feel like I felt. If we're going to provide rides to them and we tell them that we're going to pick them up, I would love to see us pick them up. Because whatever excuse we make, it is not feasible, you know. So you
We do have
of drivers, so then that means the information shouldn't have been put out if we couldn't provide for them. So
We were running the route from LaBelle to ITech. What we couldn't do was there were students up in Glades that we could not transport early enough in the morning to get the bus in LaBelle to go to ITech. We have a bus, and we're willing to have a bus every day, early in the morning from LaBelle down to ITech, and then it comes back in the late afternoon. And we actually even have some students from Lehigh being transported across to LaBelle to catch that bus.
don't want to put out false information because I believe it was said if you got one person, Ms. Brown, if you got one person, I'll make sure that one person get there. But that one person was sitting at his door with nobody. And I just feel like we don't need to put out false information.
No,
if we can't do it, we just have to tell them we can't do it, you know.
We just couldn't get that person from way out in Glades. No, excuse me. The bus from LaBelle to ITEC goes from LaBelle to Immokalee. Yeah. And then late in the afternoon, it comes back up. Other than that, now, one thing I think maybe you all should know, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, this year, every 5 years, the TD Commission goes through a process where anybody can apply to be the CTC, which is what we are here in Henry and Glades, as well as Lee. This was the 5th year for us, not only in Lee, but here in Henry and Glades as well. In Lee County, we've already applied, and nobody else applied, so we're going to be the CTC again in Lee. There was an issue with the Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council. They will no longer be the people who basically run the LCB. Actually, you have a representative from the Heartland that's taking over, and what we have done is the TD Commission asked us what to do because nobody was prepared to send out an RFP. There's enough work that has to be done in this exchange, and we're working with them to help. And I believe the TD Commission will probably extend our contract for a year so that the Heartland TPO can prepare an RFP. We will apply whenever that comes out because one of the things I think we can do that showed in Lee County is that we not only do TD, but we also do Medicaid. In other words, we'll provide transportation for any state or federal agency. I think that's one of the reasons why Goodwheels has sometimes economic issues is because some of those agencies either don't pay on time or they don't pay you very much. We are augmenting our budget, and when you look at the numbers I gave you, you'd say, well, you're losing money. And we are if you just look at Henry and Glades County separately. But what we're doing is we did form a for-profit subsidiary of Goodwheels. It operates in Lee County because that's where our garage is. We are doing, and because we're out near the airport, there are lots of other companies that are out there that have vehicles. So we are providing maintenance on our, not only on Goodwheels vehicles, but maintenance for FedEx, Dunbar, who's the banking trucks that run around, Massey, the pest control people, Storm Smart, which is a company in Fort Myers, some charter schools, their buses. All of that is providing significant revenue to Goodwheels, in addition to the charter bus service that we have. You know, we provide charter trips. That's now running at a rate of about $80,000 a month. And the purpose of that is to fund Goodwheels. And all of any money we get there goes into Goodwheels. And that's what brings us to even. Yeah, we just had to do what we have to do. So I didn't want you worried that we have a negative. It is negative. If you really look at it on a business basis, the results are negative. But overall, we're making up for it somewhere else.
Concerns?
Thank you, Mr. Mendel.
Thank you all. Okay.
Sir, just got a couple of notes here that we're going to be looking at monthly reports, and I'll work with Mr. Mandel to make sure that those reports get sent over to you. And it also sounded like this board would like to have a follow-up and maybe in the next quarter to go over the next 3 reports just to see how things are going. And that way, if you have any questions, we are not going off an entire year, and we'll just keep current about once a quarter with these updates with the board.
I attend, asked me to, and it's tradition for years to attend the MPO meetings in Lee County. And they're monthly. If you'd like me to come up once a month and give you a report on what's going on, I'll be happy to do that.
I'll yield to the board on that.
like to see the data. So if we can follow the
Oh,
data.
you'll get that every month.
Yeah, if we can see that, and if it's a need, I'm sure we'll let you know.
If there's a question, then
Sure.
Else?
No, sir.
Then we got 20 minutes and we'll pick up the regular board meeting. Thank you.